It's a privilege to present to you the latest feature on the page transformation around the user mapping. Just to let you know a little bit about myself. My name is Bullock. I've been working with SharePoint for 13 years, and 6 of those with SharePoint Online, primarily around public sector and government-focused development solutions and designs. I'm a regular contributor for the PMP program. It's been a privilege to work with Bert on the PMP modelization tool. Together, we've dramatically jumped its feature set to cover almost everything on premise and online. So it's a great opportunity to do that. I've started to contribute to the PMP usage docs, which is a great repository of information for citizens developers. And outside of PMP, I'm actually a leader at my church. So PMP transformation, a specific tool, is designed to convert from classic SharePoint pages over to modern. This is delivered by PMP PowerShell. We've got a bunch of resources here on the screen here. So if you want to have a look at those, download the module, install those, and then you can get modernizing. If you need any help with any issues with modernizing, feel free to jump on the issues list on the repository, and we can help you. Both me and Bert are quite active on there. So a little bit about the user mapping capability we've added. So the typical problem we had with on-premise transformations is that the user account form to that of SharePoint Online. So we can't just essentially copy the text from one to the other. The account formats are different, so it doesn't work. So we've had to build in extra capability to essentially try and resolve these account formats to their online equivalents. So this is specifically when you're using the item metadata, item permissions, or the or if you've got contact controls within the actual page. So there's 2 modes of operations within the new feature. There's default detection. I've got a little video later about how that works. There's also specific mapping via CSV, so you can explicitly set which source user accounts to target which users. This also covers AD groups. We've added 3 new parameters to the convert to PMP client-side page. The user mapping file parameter, so you can specify a CSV file with these mappings in. Skip user mapping, so it's on by default. So if you want to turn that off, you're having issues with it, or you just don't want to use it, then just set that flag. We've also got the LDAP connection string option, which allows you to more specifically change the way the tool under default mode queries Active Directory. So for example, if you've got multi-domain scenarios, or you want to resolve users from a different domain, or if you've got a particularly dense Active Directory with lots and lots of user accounts, and you don't want to query the whole thing, you just want to select a subset, so you can specify OUs. And it's actually something that would be great to have a little bit of community help with, actually, because my test grid, for example, doesn't include a lot of the advanced scenarios that can come with Active Directory SharePoint combinations with SharePoint Online as well. So it would be great if you guys could check this tool out. So this is available in the November release, and try and do some on-prem to online migrations with those perhaps more complex setups, and perhaps provide some feedback on the issues list about any issues you may encounter, which is great. So love a Visio. I've got a little Visio diagram around the default mode. So the way it works is you have to run the PMP transformation on a domain attached computer. And then what that does is it uses the connection you've got with that to query Active Directory to resolve the user account name to a UPN. With groups, they're represented as typically SIDs within SharePoint. So those will again query Active Directory to find their representative name. And then what that does afterwards is it then goes to SharePoint Online, tries to resolve those principles that we've discovered from Active Directory, and then make sure they exist and that they can be replaced. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to a demo. So hopefully you've got time to cover everything. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is, yep, cool, great stuff. So some of you may recognize this sample. It's the PMP classic business starter kit, actually, from PMP repo. So what I've done is use that. It's great for demos, and I managed to get it working in 2013. So this is an example 2013 implementation. I've got a couple of pieces of content here, and specifically cover user permissioning. I've got this secret sauce recipe. So this is my source site, as I said. So there's a lot of source-based references. And in here, there's a secret recipe. I don't want all my my readers to see this. I only want a select group, so I provide permissions against these. So I'm just going to navigate here. So as you can see here, I've got a bunch of users. It's all unique permissions, so they're not inheriting in any way. Similarly, I've got my my catch-up site. Another play on source with ketchup. And this is where my transformations will go. So I just want to show you quickly what I've done with my Active Directory setup, just so that give you a bit of context over these users. So I've got a bunch of demo users, and what I've done is I configured the UPNs to my my tenant. So I'm using a custom domain on my dev tenant, and that will it's called dev test. So what it will do is the tool query Active Directory, try and grab this address, and then resolve it to the SharePoint Online equivalent. Now, if you don't have these pointing to the UPN setup, then what can happen is the default mode won't resolve the user, and what you'll have to do is revert to the mapping. So let me just quickly show you. Hopefully, you can see all my flicking around and come on. There we go. Okay, it's just my VM is being a bit slow. Right, so I've got some commands to run here. So I'm just going to clear that. That's my little caching hack that I use. Sometimes speed things up. So first thing, what you need to do is connect to one connection for SharePoint on-premise and one connection for SharePoint Online. So I'm just going to go in and just set those up. Because when you're doing on-premise to online conversions, you need two connections. So under default mode, using the client-side, specify the page that you want. It's a publishing page. Set target connection to be your online connection. Set connection to be your source connection. I've set this to overwrite and I'll log to the console. I specified a page layout mapping just to make it look a little bit fun as the result. The conversions. Try that one again. Please connect, otherwise that kills my demo.
And if nothing else, we can reschedule the demo, or you can do it.
Right, yay. Right.
That's definitely doable as well. If there's a connectivity issues. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, I do have the odd blip. I don't know why. Right, hopefully you can see this. So what I've done, just to recap, is I've created an on-premise connection. I've created an online connection. I've specified these connections in my my conversion. So this will run through now. You can see here. So this will do this. I've specified a static reference. That's why that's not what transferring. So what I've done deliberately in the demo here is to not reference in SharePoint Online my SB install account. So I've been a bit of a naughty user, naughty admin, and specified a system account that I perhaps shouldn't have used to create my content. As what it has done is it has gone to SharePoint on-prem, connected to AD, grabbed the UPN, for example. So I've got Carrot over in here. You can see it's all mapping. So most of these have come through. I'll just wait for that to finish.
Just Paul, sorry for jumping in here. I need to jump to another meeting. I do apologize. But Bert is here to guide you through. Let's get this recorded, and Bert can actually host the rest of the call, and definitely. So, Bert, you're on.
No worries. Cheers, Razor.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Paul. Looks really awesome.
So this is transfer the content and map the users. So I'm just going to show you quickly here. So I know we're running slightly over time. I'm just going to jump to page libraries. Use. So I've got my secret source recipe, which all looks good. So all that's come through. Got all the content. Looks great. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you the permissioning side. As you notice, there might be some bits missing from this. I'll show you in the second one what happens when you use the All right, I'm just going to go to the permissions just to show you that these have been resolved and they've been copied across to as you can see, all the users from the on-prem version. So most of those have come through, bar the ones that I've deliberately broken for demo reasons. One thing to note about the Trevor one that didn't resolve as well is because he's left the organization, has disabled an AD, so it's not been resolved. So what I want to do then is perhaps remap the Trevor account and my SP install account to someone that's got a bit, someone that's actually active and different users. So I'm just going to quickly grab my script here. So what I've done here is I specified a mapping file. This is a CSV mapping file that references the source account and the targets. So I've got SIDs here. This because in SharePoint on-premise they're groups, which I've remapped those. So I'm just going to close that and reference that. So I'm going to run this for you. Hopefully that'll be nice and quick and show you what happens when that comes through. So I'll transfer through. As you can see here, while it's loading, the transformation tool does do a lot of activities with your target pages in order to get everything across, headers, web part mappings, even analyzes the pages and so forth. So if you haven't seen this before. So as you can see here, a lot more being resolved. You get these mapping and user bin replaced references coming back. So what I've done in my mapping is I changed Trevor to Taylor, who's very kindly taken over the content ownership of that page, and that's done. So I'm just going to refresh this page here. So that's come through now. You have got this extra PNP transform account. It's because the connection I use is using that account rather than my own. So just to separate things a little bit. So you've got Taylor coming through and so forth. Just to show you what the page looks like when it's rendered with all of its everything working. So because it also includes things like header details and metadata as well. So my name's come through in the remapping that was originally SP install and so forth. So what I wanted to quickly show you, if I've got time and then we're in a reading, is the final part was the LDAP override. So I'm just going to quickly clear my mapping cache because we use a lot of caching within the transformation tooling to speed things up. So I just want to make sure that it's nice and clean and empty. So what I've done here in Active Directory is I've specified to only resolve these 4 users. So if you've got a very large Active Directory and you don't want to run the whole thing, then you can control that. So I'm just going to run that quickly. Come on. No, that's fine. I haven't got SP installed in my list. I have a feeling I've missed a step here. Let's see. Just going to refresh this. And yes, I have. What I hadn't done is got rid of the permissions. So I'm just going to very quickly run that, get rid of these again. So I just want to revert it back to its original state and then just redo this again. Just to show you. Yeah, cool. That's almost there. Good stuff. All right, awesome. So we should now have 3 users, myself and 2 of the users that were specified on the permissions here. So these 2 here were specified in my CDT, so I can validate that that's definitely come through now. Okay, that is everything from me.
Right, thanks, Paul. Really cool demo, and I think this is functionality that now truly enables us to do on-prem to SharePoint Online page transformations and really make them very useful since we have this account mapping feature in place.